Well, hello and welcome everybody to your on-demand webinar, Streamlining Personalization. We're going to be talking about crafting high-converting content and doing it in half the time today. My name is Lyden Foust. I'm CEO of Spatial, and I am joined here by Brittany Freudinger, who's a marketing manager at AAA. I'm excited to have Brittany on because, one, she inspired this new personalized feature release. And then two, she's one of those rare people that has a creative and analytical capability that can create insights and can communicate it throughout the organization. So thank you for coming here, Brittany, and joining me today. Everybody knows about AAA, Brittany, but can you tell us a little bit about what your role looks like as a marketing manager at AAA?
Sure. So AAA is a national organization that is made up of many different clubs underneath. So I am, yes, publicly facing AAA, but I am from AAA Club Alliance, and that is the third largest club in the AAA National Federation. And so as a marketing manager, my role is kind of halfway between strategy and execution. So I bring together and help bring to life what individual initiatives that support our overall marketing goals and strategy. So I'm kind of the go-between between all teams that kind of make that magic happen. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Cool. And I know, Brittany, a lot of the people that are using PersonaLive live right in that space of translating insights, the analytical part, into the creative process, which is, if you can get that right, you can really nail it and resonate with your customers. It means big performance. So we'll go through the agenda here today. So today we're talking about personalization. We'll talk about the benefits of it. And then Brittany will take you through a personalization success story that AAA had. Then we're going to talk about the barriers of personalization and then what Brittany's process is for creating that and communicating that data insight to creative teams. And then finally, we're going to be talking about introducing the Personalize feature in workflow within PersonaLive. We're talking about the dynamic creative briefs and the new workflow to half that creative time. Okay, so let's start with the benefits. I don't have to convince anybody about this, but personalization really works. And one of the biggest personalization studies I've seen, MailChimp found that across 11,000 campaigns, personalized campaigns had a 14% higher open rate. We ourselves see that in our Facebook campaigns that have any level of personalization typically are getting 3 to 7x higher click-through rates. And in a new study done by LiveClicker, found that advanced personalization campaigns get a 20-to-1 ROI. Every $1 spent brings back in $20. So that's pretty high ROI. But let's hear from Brittany about one personalization campaign that she did in AAA.
Yeah, thanks, Lyden. So when we initially partnered with Spatial to create that one level deeper segmentation approach, it was kind of a never been done before. We did have access. One of the great things about AAA, especially in this particular example of our marketing efforts, is we do have a pretty widely available network of data sources that feature first party data. And so, in this day and age, it is, like gold to have that available information of our audience. The issue is that we had almost too much data, and none of it really told that personalized story. So we leveraged Spatial and their capabilities to go that one level deeper and to get down to the heart of the matter and to really inform our creative in a way that was bringing the personalization to our messaging that we hadn't had the capabilities of before. So that was where our pilot started, with the hypothesis, as as we all are looking to, in creating that personalized messaging strategy, and really digging into who our potential insurance customers were. So as we worked through our initial test, we wanted to test it by email and keep it pretty manageable. So we really focused in on our top performing segments versus our control email. And the goal there was to improve open rates and then to improve engagement within the email. So click-through rates, and then ultimately that conversion number, which would be a policy. So our control was pretty straightforward, and what we had been using for quite some time from a messaging standpoint. And then we customized the subject line to, like we said, those 3 top segments within our audience base. And from there, we did see a pretty dramatic learning from that tailoring exercise. So we can go to the next slide. And I will remind folks that this pilot took place before the iOS updates. So that open rate lift that you're seeing is not a weighted or guesstimated one. It is an actual lift over the control. So that improved by 14% plus. Our click-through rates were dramatically improved by about 50%. And then what we didn't expect was the overall improvement in quality of lead. So the folks who did click through to speak to an agent to review their policy and then ultimately bind to a new insurance policy, that was improved by 50% over the non-tailored creative. So all in all, exceeded our expectations and really wanted, created the will within our organization to dig further and to expand our segmentation approach and strategy moving forward.
Great. Okay, so let's talk real quickly about the barriers to segmentation. There was a great Adobe study done in 2020 about what are the barriers to personalization for marketers. The number one was lack of time. Probably a lot of you that are watching this feel that. 30% said lack of resources. This means we lack team members, we lack organizational alignment towards the initiative, could be a number of things. And then 25% said that they had challenges streamlining the process, even to get to personalization. And one of the things that really inspired us, PersonaLive, as you know, a lot of data on the platform. And we were inspired by how Brittany was able to cull that down to only the meaningful things that were used by the creatives to resonate and create resonant content. So Brittany, can you take us through a little bit of your process and how you did that?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, we have a large swath of data available to us. And so, we are not alone in that challenge of how do we streamline, how do we actually make those insights actionable. And so when I first kicked this off with our internal creative team, and that's the team that I work with to activate most of our campaigns, I introduced just the spatial platform. We went through the personas within the platform, and it was the interest was overwhelming and in a good way from an enthusiasm standpoint. But we quickly realized that just unleashing the platform in the hands of a creative team that did not necessarily have the guardrails of the business objectives and what angle we wanted to look at these groups from, we realized that was not the best approach. I went through and just plucked that information out of the dashboard and plopped it into an Excel spreadsheet. So it was very analog. I went through each persona and then after that, even reviewed that with our copywriting team, our creative team, and said, hey, this is what I pulled together. Is this helpful? And that still wasn't enough information. So the overviews got expanded. So the overviews that were within each, I kind of put my AAA hat on and said, okay, this is what they look like broadly, and it includes members and non-members, but can we take a look at this, what this would look through a AAA lens? So who is this customer? What does this member look like? And so that is something that's unique to AAA, as I mentioned, that plethora of first-party data. So it was really an amalgamation of who our existing customers are and who these folks might look like from an insurance standpoint, and just customizing it that one level further, and just taking some liberties with what I was observing through the personas, but also just kind of guesstimating that this was who they are as people and as members. So it was an exercise in collaboration with our creative team, but it was really taking all of those challenges that Lyden mentioned. So the lack of time, the lack of of resources, of all of those things that we were facing pretty not uniquely, pretty universally. And this was our answer to kind of streamline that and be more pragmatic in our approach. So,
Yep. What I love about this is that it simplifies that for that creative team. So it has that first level demographics, second level is like you're getting their interest in there, and then the third level is like this is your own specific insight, the sort of the Brittany X factor going on here that directed them. Cool. So let's introduce Personalize. So we're going to talk about how can we craft high converting content in half the time here. And really Brittany's process is what inspired us to create a model for thinking about how to do personalization and do it right in a way that creatives can understand and that is very simple and not time consuming. So the first level is demographics, just like Brittany had: age, income, do they have kids, what life stage are they on in. The second is interests. And the third is that insight, which you can kind of call the X factor of, your customers and you're taking some of their interests and demographics and pulling out into a creative direction. And we have done our best to productize that with the personalized dynamic creative briefs. So this is new in PersonaLive. Now, when you go into PersonaLive and you go to a segment family, you'll see a new tab down here, and it'll say Personalize. Within Personalize, you have those base demographics, the key things that your creative team needs in order to develop that creative. So age, income, marital status, etc. We've got lifestyle imagery that these people resonate with. The next level here, deeper, is interest. So we can look at their top interests. If you're in a particular category like retail or food and drink, you can rank their interests here. We have the brands that they over-index on following in social media. And this next part is the X factor. These are just a list of campaigns that have performed historically very well with this segment in the past. So you can see other creative teams that have created resonating content and kind of detect the X factor. What did they do with the basic demographic and interest information about the people that made this campaign work, and use that for your brand? So that is the personalized dynamic creative briefs. And then the last thing is, that's not the only part of personalization. There's a process around that. First, you have to have a list of members or a list of customers, and then you have to segment them. And we can cut that process down significantly by opening up the personalized workflow within PersonaLive. This is how you do it. First, you need to start with a customer list to segment those customers. And you do that by going to the Append tab. And then I'm going to actually pull up a customer list. You can see you can match as an address, email, first name, last name. And I'm actually going to pull up a customer list in here of donations. Okay, and you can see that it matched my customer list here. So I have first name, last name, address, and email matched. I can hit next. I'll put it as a national base, and then you can see all my columns that match. Now, once I do that, all I have to do is come over here to customers, and I can pick out the file that I just uploaded, and I can immediately see I had 16% of my list that I just uploaded fall into this educated urbanites segment. If I want to do some personalization on that segment, I just go to educated urbanites. I go to Personalize. I can see demographic traits. I can hand that over to my creative teams. I can show them the interest. These people way over index on indie bookstore lovers, farm to table cooking enthusiasts. You can see the brands they follow and campaigns that have done really well. And I can actually watch these campaigns on the platform for inspiration, something you can hand over to your creative team. And if you want to do an email like AAA did, all you have to do is download your list, match it back in. But you might also want to do this with net new customers. In that case, you can hit activate families, and then you can actually push this into a marketing campaign and target net new customers. So we're targeting ultra wealthy families, upper suburban diverse families, and educated urbanites. And we can see all those people across the US. And that's it. That's a process. We did that in about 1 minute. So what we talked about, overview, personalization, it really works. Problem is really time intensive. If you use that Personalize tool, you can really improve the handoff to your creative team. And then the workflow of the personalization within PersonaLive can cut the time in half. So thank you, Brittany, for joining us today. If you have any questions about personalization or would like to learn more, you can email me at Lyden@Spatial.ai. Thank you for joining.